All right, we've talked about free throw violations. Let's talk about throw-in violations. On the offense, there are three main violations you can commit. Number one is stepping on or over the line. Pretty simple. If you're throwing the ball in, you got to stay out of bounds.
Inbound violation.
An interesting nuance to this rule is that the thrower-inner, I really don't know what to call that person, but we'll go with it. They cannot be the first person to touch the ball after it's inbounded. So even if they roll the ball out and then they're walking and they're fully in bounds, they can't be the first person to touch it. It's got to be one of their teammates.
Inbound violation.
The second violation that a throw-in team can commit is a 5-second violation. So after you give the person throwing the ball, they have 5 seconds to release it for somebody inbounds. If they don't, that's a violation. You'll give it to the other team.
Five seconds.
The third violation the offense can commit is moving off the designated spot for a designated spot throw-in. But you can travel. What do I mean by this? There are no pivot feet for a person throwing in the ball. They can have as much happy feet as they want. They can be jumping up and down, they can be dancing, they can be doing whatever. They just have about a 3-foot kind of block that they have to stay in. So if they're moving up and down the sideline a lot, that's what would constitute a violation.
Hold your spot.
So here we can see this is totally legal, even though there's no pivot foot here. That doesn't matter. He's staying in one spot, not a violation.
Hold your spot.
On the other hand, this, that's a violation. There is an exception to this. After a made basket, a team can run their entire baseline and they can pass the ball to another teammate who is out of bounds. However, they still only have 5 seconds to get the throw in. It doesn't matter how many people they get it to. It doesn't reset if they throw it to another person, for example. This also counts if there was a timeout after the made basket before the ball was inbounded. They're still allowed to run the baseline. So make sure if there's a timeout called immediately after a made basket that you keep in the back of your mind, hey, this is not a designated spot throw-in. They're going to be allowed to run the baseline after this. On throw-ins, there are also some violations that the defense can commit. The first one is reaching across the plane. So if you imagine that the out-of-bounds line extends in a plane all the way up to the ceiling, if the defense puts any of their body through that plane, that is going to be a delay of game warning. The first delay of game warning that a team gets in the game is just that. It's a warning, there's no consequence. But if they do that again later in the game, then it becomes a technical foul each time that they do it.
Warning, do not reach across this plane right here.
The second violation, and at this point it's not technically a violation anymore, as you'll see, but the second thing that a defense can do that's illegal on a throw-in is reach across the plane and make contact with the ball of the thrower-inner. This is immediately a technical foul. Plain and simple.
Here you go. Whoa! Technical foul, right here.
The last thing that can happen is a defensive player moving across the plane and touching the player trying to throw the ball in. And that is an automatic intentional foul. And you'll learn more about how to enforce a technical and intentional foul, what that looks like. But just know, reaching across the plane, warning, touching the ball, technical foul, touching the player, intentional foul.
Intentional foul, 2 shots.
I want to talk about one case that's pretty uncommon, but it is different. If the person throwing the ball reaches the ball across the plane themselves, that is legal. They're allowed to do that. But at that point, the defensive player is allowed to touch the ball and knock it out of their hands. That's totally legal, and take it away. As long as they're not reaching across the plane to make contact with the ball, totally legal play.